Donald Trump has spoken about a significant part of his economic policy for the United States should he be reelected.
A tariff is a tax on a foreign country. That's the way it is, whether you like it or not. A lot of people like to say, oh, it's a tax on us. No, no, no. It's a tax on a foreign country. It's a tax on a country that's ripping us off and stealing our jobs. And it's a tax that doesn't affect our country. And you could see hundreds of billions of dollars of tariffs on other countries also.
But is pursuing higher tariffs, thus inducing a trade war between nations, a feasible and ideal plan? Welcome to the San Pedro Bay Port Complex. This complex is comprised of the Port of Los Angeles as well as the Port of Long Beach. This is one of the world's busiest ports and is the #1 container port in the United States. It's a lot more expansive than what you see here behind me. Each month, this port handles hundreds of thousands in import and export volume, representing 75% of the West Coast market share and 29% in the United States as a whole. The flow of container and cargo ships not only represents and impacts jobs as they come and go, but what also impacts jobs, ship traffic, and prices both locally and nationwide are policies on tariffs which impact ports like this one across the United States. During Trump's term in office, China represented 54% of imports and 29% of U.S. exports based on value moving through this port. In other words, having a healthy trade relationship with other nations is not only key in job creation and sustainability, it is also key to pricing and being able to take care of one's family. As Trump came into office, this port located behind me represented over 3 million jobs across the United States, particularly for those who work on docks, for those who work trains, and for those who are truckers across the United States. Within the immediate 5-county region of Southern California, this port represents over 500,000 jobs. This port sees everything from raw materials to shoes to clothes to cars to household items. You name it, it comes through this port. If you have something that says made in China, 9 times out of 10, it has come through this port. So when Trump launched a trade war, more than quadrupling tariffs on various goods from China during his presidency, not only did the Federal Reserve Bank of New York calculate that U.S. companies lost $1.7 trillion in the price of their stock, but Moody Analytics also tracked that by September of 2019, 300,000 jobs had been lost and more jobs were coming because of Trump's policies and its impact on ports like this one across the United States. As the tariff war waged on, the supply chain was impacted. Trump was not able to make the connection between his decision making and its impact in the availability of goods and the availability of goods or lack thereof in the lives of everyday Americans.
You know, you order something now. I don't know how many of you are in business, or even if you're ordering as a personal order, the order doesn't come. The supply chain is broken. Who ever thought of it?
The impact of Trump's tariffs didn't just stay at the port. They also impacted farmers across the United States. As Trump surged tariffs on China, China issued their own tariffs against United States goods as well. This resulted in the price of soybeans and other agricultural goods falling through the floor. As a result, Trump had to bail United States farmers out. A bailout that was passed on to you and I as taxpayers in the United States. But what is the everyday application of tariff wars between nations? Like, what does it look like in your life? Particularly when there is an unpredictable executive that is sitting behind the Resolute desk. This is Rouse, the West Coast version of Kroger. Like other grocery stores, Rouse sells a number of food products needed to survive. When tariff wars ensue, one of the first places you will feel it is at the grocery store. An example, while most seafood products are farmed here in the United States, they're packaged in China. This qualifies under U.S. trade law as a substantial transformation. And that seafood is now considered a Chinese good that becomes subjected to tariffs. But fish is not the only thing that's impacted by this process. Eggs, butter, coffee, and flour are also items that are subjected to this. Amid inflation and tariff wars, grocery chains like Kroger are able to sneak in price hikes of their own because the person sitting behind the Resolute desk creates a hiding place for them to do so. So when Trump recently stood by a table of groceries, citing that food prices soared, the connection that was missing was how his tariff war contributed to higher food prices being a reality for everyday people in the United States. That Kroger and all the stores under their umbrella, including Ralph's, would engage in price gouging to enrich themselves perhaps should not come as a shock. Rodney McCullen, Kroger's CEO, served as an advisor to the Trump administration on the Great American Economic Revival Board. Kroger's Political Action Committee was also used to bankroll Republicans who attempted to overturn the 2020 election. But food prices aren't the only thing of concern. What about shopping for those things that you need? Trump's tariffs also impacted shopping budgets across the nation. Did it cost more to put shoes on your children's feet for school this year? Did your luggage for necessary travel cost more? Or perhaps the hat of your favorite team? If none of those areas quite resonated with you, consider the fact that Nike, Fila, and Polo by Ralph Lauren all produce products that are made in China. Simply put, Trump's trade war passes the cost on to you and I as the consumer. Higher tariffs equal higher prices. And while an accelerated tariff or tax may be charged to a respective country, that increase in cost is, in most instances, passed on to you and I as the consumer. The one instance in which trickle-down economics actually works. But the story is not done here. Despite him pressing Donald Trump on the misuse of tariffs and for not acknowledging the impact of higher prices in the lives of everyday people who live in the United States, prices remain higher because the Biden administration left Trump's tariffs in place and did not modify them. According to the Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, the tariffs were not modified because industry leaders requested that they not be. According to Oxford Economics, a second Trump presidency would result in an extreme risk to the U.S. economy. That means higher prices for both you and I. But at the same time, we need an executive who's willing to challenge and modify those tariffs, regardless of what industry leaders have to say and what it means for their pockets and the bottom line of the corporations that they represent. Yes, inflation is real, but inflation is not helped by price gouging groceries, nor is it helped by surging tariffs. We cannot afford to keep the same economic plan just in a different color and representative. Otherwise, we risk chopping off our noses to spite our faces. I'll see you next time. Peace.